The people of Manchester do not want to be guinea pigs. The North West does not want to try out the government scheme and get their data onto the database. Stop the ID card now before it's too late.
What would you say to people who say that they've got nothing to hide, and why should they be worried about the ID card?
Well, I think people who think they've got nothing to hide are probably thinking that this is a completely benign bit of plastic, you just put it in your wallet, what could it possibly do? What most people don't realise is that it's a whole integrated system. It's taking 50 categories of information about you, giving that into the control of the Home Office, and then tracking you throughout your life every time you use this card. So it's not something that, I don't think many people would be worried by a piece of plastic. We have loads of them in our wallets already. It's what's behind it, and the system that we call the database state. Government trying to manage society by collecting, gathering, surveilling and passing around all of our personal information.
What does Manchester say? We say stop the ID card con! Stop the ID card con! Stop the ID card con! Stop the ID card con!
The Conservatives have made a commitment to scrap the ID card. Does that mean that the battle's over and we've got nothing to worry about now?
Not at all. The Conservatives have made, and all the opposition parties have made commitments to scrap not just the card but the database behind it. But what we really need is for the acts to be repealed. The laws that put this stuff in place are the ones that would allow any future government to bring something like this in future. And who knows? It could be another terrorist atrocity. It could be some sort of moral panic, and any future government would have on the statute books the means to bring this back in. What we need is the same sort of definitive scrapping that we had back in 1952 after the Second World War, when Clarence Wilcox said, I'm a liberal. I don't believe in this stuff. I'm not going to have an ID card. That went all the way to the top, and the whole thing got scrapped. We need it scrapped completely.
Do you think some of this might kind of sneak onto the passport?
Absolutely. The passport is something that the Home Office are desperately trying to sort of use, if you like, as a cover. If they can't get the ID cards and the people in Manchester to apply for enough ID cards to keep the system going on that basis, then they've stated quite clearly, unless this scheme is scrapped, by 2012, if you apply for a passport, you will be forced to register on the National Identity Register. And that's not just handing over your details in a form like you do at the moment, that is paying to have yourself fingerprinted, and then you're on the database for life.
Say no to ID and keep your liberty! Stop the ID card con! Don't be the ID card con! Stop 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 the ID card con!
This has been about starting off our Don't Be a Guinea Pig campaign. We don't think the people of Manchester are stupid. They'll see through the government's spin and hype. And really, to say to people, just refuse to register. It's a great big con that the government's trying to sort of bully and dupe people into signing up for a 30-quid card when they're talking about a lifetime of fees and penalties, lifelong surveillance and data trafficking, and a cost that you just can't tell. What happens to you in the future if, for some reason, the computer says no?
So what else can people do other than not sign up for it if they feel strongly about this?
At the moment, we'd encourage people to get involved with our local groups. We've got groups all over the country, and especially around Manchester and the North West. So find out more, not just about the ID cards, but about the whole database state, all sorts of things, from Contact Point, the children's version of this register, from what's being done with our medical records, from what's being done with the DNA database. There's a whole bunch of things where the government is encroaching on people's lives and encroaching on our liberties and privacy. So get involved is the basic message, and pass the word. What's really important is that people of Manchester and the North West know, don't be a guinea pig, refuse to register and stop the ID con.
So are you campaigning against the NHS database as well?
We're campaigning against what's called the summary care record. This is the, people don't actually sort of know, but their information is being uploaded from their GP surgeries into a centralised system. And once it's in that centralised system, it's already the case that medical records are being passed in bulk to commercial companies. There's companies that are already taking, I think, have taken 1 billion records from the NHS hospital records, and these are being passed not for medical reasons, but out to commercial companies that are doing things called health intelligence. So people need to be aware of what's being done with their data, and they can do, with the health records, they can do the simple thing of opting out. There is actually an opt-out. You can write to your GP or ask your GP, put a stop code on my medical record, on your GP sort of surgery computer, and my records won't be sucked up into this system.
Manchester says, don't be a guinea pig. Stop the ID card con. Stop the ID card con.
They get in touch with us mainly by the website these days, which is www.no2id.net, and if you go onto the website you'll find out where the local groups are near you. We have meetings, groups, all sorts of things going on. Please get involved.